Clarity, precision, objectivity. That's often how we imagine knowledge. But what if knowledge is created only inside your mind? What if there's no such thing as an objective truth at all? Only different perspectives we each construct for ourselves. That's exactly where constructivism comes in. What is knowledge, really? How is it created, and can we ever truly know the world as it is? In this video, we'll break down what constructivism is all about, why it matters so much for qualitative research, and how it can change the way you approach your academic work. And now, without further ado, welcome to Shribe. What is constructivism? The basic idea is this. Knowledge isn't simply discovered out there in the world, it's created. We never see reality as it truly is. Instead, we interpret it through our own experiences, beliefs, and social contexts. In other words, you don't see the world as it is, you see it as you are. What we call reality is always a subjective, interpreted version of it. Knowledge isn't produced through neutral measurement alone, it's shaped by active processing and interpretation. And this doesn't just apply to individuals. Entire societies do it too. Cultural norms, gender roles, even scientific paradigms, they're all social constructs. Where did this idea come from? Constructivism isn't the work of one single thinker. It's an umbrella term for a range of philosophical approaches. Early roots are in psychology, with Jean Piaget showing how children actively build their understanding of the world through interaction. Later, sociologists like Peter Berger and Thomas Luckmann explained how social reality is created through communication. And in the 1980s, Ernst von Glasersfeld introduced radical constructivism, the idea that there is no objective reality independent of the observer. Instead, there are only individual constructions that turn out to be useful or not. It might sound abstract, but in practice, it has huge implications, especially for how we conduct research. Constructivism in academic research. Here's the contrast. Positivism focuses on objective, measurable facts. Constructivism says science is never neutral. Researchers are always part of the research process, bringing their own questions, assumptions, and interpretations. That's especially true in qualitative research. Here, the goal isn't to measure phenomena in absolute terms, but to understand them. It's about meanings, experiences, and connections, not just numbers and correlations. So, if you're conducting interviews, you're not just collecting facts. You're exploring how participants experience their reality. You listen, you ask open-ended questions, you interpret their words in context, and in the end, you produce insights that might not be universally generalizable, but are deep and nuanced. Before we dive into the next part, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. It really helps me out a lot. Isn't that just totally subjective? Yes, and that's the point. Constructivism doesn't see subjectivity as a flaw, it sees it as the norm. Objectivity, in the traditional sense, doesn't exist. Instead, the focus is on being transparent about how knowledge is created, what perspective was taken, what questions were asked, and how the data was analyzed. So, constructivist research isn't random, it's systematic, reflective, and traceable. The aim isn't to find the truth, but to show step by step how certain truths emerge in a specific context. What does this mean for you as a student? You've probably been working with constructivist ideas without even realizing it, especially if you've studied qualitative methods or theories that focus on meaning and interpretation. Ever heard of grounded theory or discourse analysis? Many of these are built on constructivist foundations. When you run interviews, observe people, or analyze group discussions, you're already moving in constructivist territory. And understanding this epistemological foundation matters because it shapes how you write your research questions, which methods you choose, and how you interpret your results. So, how is it different from positivism? Positivism assumes there's an objective reality that can be revealed through measurement and observation. Researchers try to stay as neutral as possible, keeping their influence out of the process. Constructivism flips that. Knowledge is always subjective, context-dependent, and researchers are part of the research. whether they want to be or not. Neither is better than the other, it just depends on your research goals. Want to know how many students drop out of university? Quantitative, positivist research is the way to go. Want to know why students drop out and what that process feels like for them? A constructivist approach with qualitative interviews is probably the better choice. Why constructivism gets misunderstood? If everything's subjective, why do research at all? That's a common criticism. The assumption, everything is relative, arbitrary, unclear. But that's not true. Constructivist research demands a high level of rigor, just in a different way. It's not about collecting neutral facts, it's about making your own assumptions visible, reflecting on the context, and systematically interpreting how meanings are created. That's not easy work. It's a demanding way of thinking about knowledge. But it's also a powerful one, especially when traditional measurement reaches its limits, when we're dealing with experiences, social processes, and complex realities. So, if you're doing qualitative research, or if you simply want to better understand how knowledge is created, constructivism offers a valuable lens for making your academic work more deliberate, transparent, and insightful.